So welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to have you here today to learn about the master's program in biotech at Brown University. To introduce myself, I'm Dean Jackie Schell. I am the Associate Dean for Biology Master's Education here at Brown. I have with me two fabulous members of the team who I'll let introduce themselves, starting with Holly. Go ahead, Holly.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Holly Brennan. I'm a graduate recruitment counselor with the Division of Masters and Professional Programs at Brown, and it's nice to meet you. Pass it to
Professor
Goldbank.
Capolino.
Hi, everyone. My name is Goldbank Capolino. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions, Recruitment, and Co-Curricular Programs at the Biotech program. And this is my first year at Brown. I just want to highlight that I am coming from biotech industry. I have 7 years of experience working at biotech. So if you have any follow-up questions regarding how this program, this master's program fits into your career in biotech, I'm happy to answer specific questions later on too. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Capolino and Holly. Appreciate both of you. Okay, so I always like to start these sessions with making it clear what this program will do for you. If you want to fall asleep and not listen to anything else I say, maybe you have a specific question, peek your ears for just 1 minute. This program is designed to help you to get to the next step in your career, whatever that may be. We're very unique in that we offer in-depth thesis research with industry experience. You will not find another program like ours that does this so effectively, or at all even. So just some examples. What does this program prepare you for? There's really three main areas. Industry, as Goldbank mentioned, graduate school, such as PhD programs, and also MD programs. Those are the three main areas. We really collect data of where our students have gone and what they're doing. We're very upfront with that information because we really know that this program helps you get to the next step. And I just want to share some stories with you to highlight how this is true. So I have this first student here. He wanted to go to med school. He went to Hofstra, study economics, pre-med track, really great school, great student. He applied for med school, but he was not strong enough for med school right out of undergraduate. He did the Master's of Science program. He worked with a top cancer physician scientist here at Brown University, got patents, got publications. When he applied to med school, he didn't just apply to med school. He applied to MD, PhD programs, which are the most competitive thing you can imagine, and then he got into it. Another student, she went to Clemson University, great school, great degree in neuroscience, wanted to get into a PhD program. She actually applied to our PhD program, was not accepted, but decided to join our master's. After doing her Master's of Science here at Brown, working with one of our fabulous neuroscience professors who works in drug development, she was accepted into 5 out of the 6 PhD programs she applied to. This student, whenever we'd meet to do some career counseling, she would always say to me, Jackie, I wish everything I had now, I had it while I was an undergrad because I've learned and gotten so much from this program. This other student, she went to Boston University. All these schools I'm telling you are fabulous schools, whether you know them all by name or not. She also was actually in neuroscience. While she was graduating, she applied to jobs alongside master's programs. Did not get any job offers, but came and joined our master's program. Did the Master of Science with research, did a co-op. By the time she was graduating, she got 9 job offers. The market was really booming at this time. This was a little bit past COVID. But we're seeing very still good job placement, which I can touch on later. But her starting salary was $90,000, not including benefits, relocation, etc. Students often come back to us unsolicited, telling us about their experience they've had at Brown now that they've gone to the workforce. One student sent us an email saying that students don't know it, but everything they're getting is putting them so far ahead those just graduating from college. Okay, So then what is it that we're offering? I said a few words here and there that maybe you don't know what they are. We have two main degrees, the Master's of Science and the Master's of Arts. I'll teach you the difference between these two degrees. Domestic students can do either of these degrees part-time. And within the Master's of Science or the Master's of Arts, you can do more of a science-based track, or you can do a management track, which helps you more if you're interested in consulting or the business of biotech, IP commercialization. You don't have to choose a track either. We'll talk about that later. But these are the main things that I want to talk about. When we talk about track, it's really about how you're focusing your studies, whether it's your thesis or your coursework. Okay, what about our program? So this is the size of our program. We are a large and thriving program. We have 143 students. Some of them are fifth-year students. I'm not sure if we have any fifth-year prospective students on the call. And some of them, and most of them though, are actually two-year students, students who have gone to universities all across the globe and have joined us here at Brown, and they're doing the program for 2 years. You'll notice most of our students are in the Master's of Science degree, and there are a few that are in the Master's of Arts. Most of our students are full-time, although there are some part-time. What you see here, though, is something very important, and I want you to keep this in the back of your mind. We have over 80 research advisors. So over 80 different faculty have worked with our biotech master's students over the years. Okay, let's talk about the two degrees. Here we have the Master's of Science and the Master's of Arts. The Master's of Science is 8 credits over 2 years. This is, once again, for external students, those who are not Brown undergrads. Same thing with the Master's of Arts, 8 credits over 2 years. At Brown, 1 credit equals 1 course. I know it's very different from other places, but that's the easiest way to think about it. What's different between these two programs, or degrees, excuse me? Within the Master's of Science, you're doing research, you're writing a thesis, and then you're going to have an oral defense. Can sound a little bit intimidating, but believe me, we get our students very prepared to do this, and this really sets our students apart. Okay, on the other hand, the Master's of Arts is only structured courses, 8 of them, okay? I have asterisks here because domestic students can actually customize how long they take the degree. Goldman and I work one-on-one with students to say, does it make sense to speed up? Does it make sense to slow down? If you're a part-time student, etc. But it's a light course requirement. Okay. A common question we always get is, how much does this program cost? Pay close attention, because this one often scares students and they don't get it. You're only paying per credit at Brown. So you're paying 8 credits at less than $9,000 per credit. Total cost of the degree is under $72,000. This is not how much you're paying per year. This is regardless if you're doing it in 1 year or 2 year, depending on how you spread out your credits, it's going to be about that amount. Tuition goes up slightly each year, like 4%, but lots of students think you're paying $72,000 a year. No, that is not how much you're paying unless you're doing all 8 credits in 1 year. We are comparable to other programs. We're cheaper than other programs, like somewhere like Northwestern. I believe tuition's around $96,000. Yes, they have a co-op. We have a co-op too. What is more? And so we are cheaper than other. We do offer a 1/8 merit scholarship to top applicants. You do not have to submit extra information for the merit scholarship. You are considered for this as soon as your application is reviewed. So when you apply, all your information's there. The review committee selects top applicants for merit scholarship. New this year, we do have a very, very tiny amount of financial aid. It's also about 1 course credit, and it's really only for extremely high need students. If you are, and by extreme, there's like 3 categories that we're giving: low need, medium need, high need. If you are somebody who may fall in that high need category, I highly recommend filling out FAFSA if you're a domestic student, CSS profile if you're an international student. So our financial aid office can put a score for you about high need versus low need. It's a very small amount to just a handful of students, but so I would not depend on that, especially if your family or you have a lot of means to pay for the program. Okay, so that's some of the, I like to say, um, administrative information about the program. I want to tell you what makes this program so amazing and different from the rest of the biotech programs you'll see across the United States. The first thing I think that really sets Brown apart is the open curriculum. Okay, what does that mean? So, undergrad, you can take a number of different courses in a number of different majors. What does it work like in biotech? You can't go take a course in Egyptology and history, but there is no required curriculum for the biotech program. I'm saying, like, you must take cell biology first semester, you must take gene and RNA in the second semester. We have a list of courses that you can select from. And beyond our list of courses, which I'll show you how big this list is, you can take courses outside our department and also get those approved. So as I mentioned, within the Master of Science, this is the one that involves research. You have 5 structured courses and 3 graduate independent study. Independent study is there to help you just have more time to do your research. Within the Master of Science, if you'd rather just take 8 structured classes, still do your research, still defend your thesis, yes, you can do that. As I mentioned, the Masters of Arts is just coursework alone. As I mentioned, there's what's great about our Master of Science program, no required courses. No one's going to make you take another microbiology class if you hated it. You really get to make your own curriculum to suit what is interesting to you. Biotech is a huge field. It involves work in neuroscience, work in cancer, work in cardiovascular disease, work with vaccines, work with small molecules, all sorts of different areas of biotech. You get to choose what you're interested in and what's going to help you get to the next phase of your career. We have big seminar classes you can take part of with the undergrads. If you're not interested in those, and we have our small 20 only capped classes just for the biotech program students. So you get to know your cohort, get to participate in discussions. If you don't know what to take, you have myself, you have GoBank to help you also structure your curriculum. So you're not going to be just like, pick from this giant list of classes that we see here. You get support to make sure you know what's going to help you learn what you need to learn. And here I'm just really trying to impress you with the number of classes you can take without getting approval from myself or from GoBank. You can take any of these classes without our approval. Beyond this list, every semester, I get a number of students saying, Jackie, I have this class in neuroscience I want to take. Jackie, I have this class in physics. I say, what's the course? They'll say, okay, this one is, one student recently said, it's about laser development, and it's because they're trying to develop a technology with health application. And I'm like, sure, that absolutely is it's a graduate level course that can definitely fit. You can do it. So the sky is the limit, really, with the type of courses you can take within the program. When you see the difference, they vary from advanced biochem to biotech IP to global health, cardiovascular engineer, polymer science, biomaterials, commercialization, molecular genetics. We have a new AI class. Professor Capolino's adding a new course this semester. She's teaching on biotech management as well. So lots of great courses within the program. My favorite course is not a real course at all. It's our co-op course. What is this? What is a co-op? A co-op's like an extended internship. So what do you do in this co-op? You're in this class. You're actually working full time for 6 months in an industry job, and we have the way it works is the salary is set by the company, but the range is I had to update this. It's a bit higher. It's about 20 to about 45. I think our average salary now is about $35 per hour, about 40 hours per week. Co-ops in general over have led to full-time hires across the board when they survey companies and students. Here are some of the partners we've been working with. And we also have exclusive partners. And I have another one I need to add to this list. It's not updated enough. But these companies you see here, Pfizer, AbbVie, Arthur D. Little, Organogenesis is another company on this list. They are creating positions exclusively for Brown biotech students. So what does that mean? Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold so excuse me. Um, it means that when we are sharing these positions, you know that your resume will get read. You're only competing internally amongst the students within your program who are also applying for these positions. This year, I think we had 14 positions or 15 exclusive to just Brown biotech students. In addition, we have other companies who we're working with. Alnylam's one of them, Tessera, who sends us positions and says, these positions are open to everyone, but we really want you to advertise it to your students particularly. Speaking about this, we have really great career service support by Professor Adam Krigo. He, like Goldbank, has worked in industry for years and has been hiring students. As when he was working in industry, worked on many different areas. And so he is a great resource, helping our students find co-ops, helping them tailor their resumes to this job market. This year, lots of people are struggling with job placement, not within the biotech program, because we've had such fabulous career placement with our supportive staff in the biotech program. Okay. Next, I want to just talk about, should we pause? Let me see how we're doing with questions, if they're relevant to what I've spoken about so far. Nope. Okay, so I will keep going. Thank you, Holly, for this shaking no. I think one of the best parts of our degree, which in addition to the co-op and flexible curriculum, sets us apart, is the research focus of this degree. Oops. Next slide. Okay, there it is. So sometimes students look at the Master of Science and they say, okay, Jackie, you told me it's 8 credits over 2 years. That's 2 courses per semester, and only 5 of them have to be in-class courses. And students start to think, oh my goodness, how hard are these courses? Am I going to be dying? And the answer is no. They're very discussion based. Sometimes students find it easier than undergrad classes. You're learning a lot, and they say that in reviews. But the way we structure the program to have a light course load is so that you have so much time to perform thesis research. When we speak to hiring managers, this is what they say sets our students apart, that they actually have hands-on experience and critical thinking skills. All that gets involved with research. And because students have so much time to do research in the program, a lot of them end up publishing their degree, their research. You can see between this time frame how many students we had and how many publications. This number goes up every single year because publications sometimes lag a little bit. This is super important as you are thinking, if you're a student thinking about going to grad school, med school, and sometimes even going for research industry positions. What is very unique is that as students are working on their research, they learn, as I said, critical thinking. They learn how to discuss their science in the broader picture. And so they become multi-talented and have communication skills, et cetera, things that set them apart from students who have done a short amount of research in undergrad, or who have not done any research in undergrad, or are going to a master's program that's courses only. What is also unique about Brown is the way the biotech program works is we're not focused in a department. We are a program that spans all of biology and medicine, which is about 8 departments in biology. It spans our hospitals. We're connected to 4 hospitals, I can't remember. I think it's 4. And the School of Engineering and the School of Public Health. So our students can work in really any area. Research is becoming so multidisciplinary, and we find faculty within so many different departments working in all these different areas I have that are so diverse. And our students who have diverse interests are able to find different lab placements. As I mentioned, departments as well as hospitals. What's nice is some students want to work on projects that are very much bench science. You can do that within the program. Some of them want to work on sort of cognitive neuroscience related problems. You can do that. Some of them are interested in more engineering or computational based projects. Absolutely. It's and then add to it, some of them want to work with physician scientists, see what that life's like, be more in tune with actual patient contacts. All of this is possible within the biotech program, which really sets it apart from other programs. That number, 80 different faculty, helps highlight that. Many other programs, if you are able to do research, you're looking for a department that has 15 faculty, if you're lucky, doing that research. So this really helps you out with finding something that's interesting to you and also finding the perfect research mentor for you. Okay. Next, I want to talk about the community and student climate. Brown is known as one of the happiest schools on earth. And I can say this as somebody who attended Brown as a graduate student, who have many different people I've worked with at Brown, who did studies at Brown and leave and come back or never leave if you are me. It is a very, very strong community that is very supportive of one another. We have great fitness facilities. That you would have access to. Brown's a Division I school, so athletics is a big part of the school and the facilities, classes, you name it. We have a number of student clubs. We have a biotech student organization, which helps out with social activities. They try to plan a few social activities each semester. Like they said, like, let's go to Dave and Buster's. I don't know if you all know what Dave and Buster's is. I'm boring. I don't know what it is. Level 50. Still don't know what it is, but apparently it's fun. Picnics, different things, trivia nights, time at the graduate student only bar. They do lots of fun activities, and they're actually always looking for more students to help organize and join. They have a good group that does it, and they're looking for feedback. They'll send emails like, would you rather go ice skating, bowling, or go to an arcade, or just have dinner? And so you get to know the student cohort within biotech, and then you're part of the bigger division of master's students and as well as PhD students. So many different organizations you can be a part of if you don't want anything to do with more biotech related people, which I couldn't imagine why, but maybe you want to find people who are enthusiastic about donuts, bird watching, surface, whatever it may be, maybe a specific religion or ethnicity. We have so many different groups that you can be a part of. All right. Why else? The Brown name. I think this is so important when you look at placement. So, what do I mean by the Brown name? Your degree has recognition when it comes to Brown. Um, so, you can see how well we've done with job placement throughout the years. So, what I have here, I like to point out first this very small piece of the pie, which is unemployed, not tracked. And you can see that is people who have not answered our survey to tell us where you landed, slash those who told me we're still looking for jobs. But within the biotech program, less than 3% unable to find jobs. Most of our students are going to industry. The next biggest chunk is within graduate school, a good chunk going to MD or MD combined degrees, business consulting, and also research. Maybe they're just fallen so much in love with cancer research, cardiovascular research, they're taking more time there. Location. So for those of you who don't know about the Northeast, Providence is in the Northeast. It's a small but manageable city with many great scenes, music scenes, restaurants, summer months, flea markets, festivals, outdoor concerts. About 50 miles to Boston, which is about maybe an hour and a few minutes on the train, 4.5 hour drive or bus ride to New York City, beaches in the south, mountains, or hills to some of you in the north, depending on if you're a big skier in the West Coast. the actual campus where we're located, the biotech program, is in a very residential feeling part of the city. It doesn't feel like you're in a city, it feels like you're in a residential area. Where Holly's located down the hill is where the big buildings are that you see here. So it's nice because you still get the best of both worlds. All right, before we switch over to Holly, do we have Q&A questions?
Right now, we just have one question about strengthening PhD applications.
Mhm.
I had responded to the student saying that PhD applications have, of course, closed for this year, but any sort of, I guess, guidance for strengthening a PhD application?
So if you're not strong enough yet for a master's program, the advice I always tell students, if you know you want to do a PhD and you can get into a PhD program that you're happy with, go to the PhD program, apply to the PhD program. Don't waste your time doing a master's. If you're not sure that you need a PhD or want a PhD, speak to somebody wise. Like, let's say you like, I want a PhD to get into industry. You might talk to Gullbank and she says, you don't need a PhD to get very successful in industry. That was one of the first things she told me when I met her, which I always thought, but she confirmed it even further. Um, but if you're not strong enough and you're certain you want a master's and want a PhD, a master's is an ideal way to a master's at Brown is an ideal way to strengthen it. I say at Brown very deliberately because what sets us apart? That thesis research, you are working alongside PhD students. You're working closely with a faculty who is mentoring you to do thesis research. I also serve in PhD admissions. I will tell you the number of students we are accepting that need to have a master's is increasing every year. And it shouldn't be a surprise among the, um, I think, 6 PhD programs we have just in biology. Many of them are students who have come from our biotech master's program because they've come in, they've done thesis research that is exceptional, and they're a known asset to their faculty. A number of our students, I want to say, like of those who go to grad school, a good portion of them are staying at one of our Brown PhD programs, whether it's therapeutic science, computational bio, um, molecular cell biology, pathobiology, and I'm missing some, but you get the point. They join a number of these PhD programs and they make such a good impression. So that is what I would say to that question about why a master's. The other thing I find, I had a student last year. So it's getting very difficult to get PhD admission. Financial cuts within the universities because of budgets, changes on the the NIH, et cetera. So it's getting more and more competitive. I had a student last year who all of a sudden she was somebody who was I'll be honest with you, and I was honest with her. She was on the cuff to getting accepted into our PhD program because of we had to cut the number of PhD applicants we had last year. She wasn't one we offered admission to, but she joined the master's program. And I said to her, if you're interested in the PhD, I think you should apply again because you were so, uh, people really liked you. You were a strong applicant. And she said, Jackie, I am loving the master's. I don't think I need a PhD anymore. And I'm going to be out of here in 2 years with thesis experience. I'm going to do a co op. I don't need anything else. So, and I could set you up with her if you want to ask her opinion. She's a real person, works in the lab near me. So this is a typical situation. Students are convinced I need a PhD. They come to Brown, see how much they're getting within our program, and it makes a huge difference for their career.
Thank you, Jackie. That was a really comprehensive answer. And also say, if you do want to apply to the PhD program, you have the option of saying that I'd like to be considered for the master's if not selected for the PhD. So I would definitely, for any PhD interested folks, especially to Brown, click that box in the application because that is just an easy way to be considered for the master's without having to apply separately and or do any extra step really other than just kind of be referred to the master's.
Sure. And the next question I have about what elements of the application really stands out. Um,
Oops.
Everything. Everything you listed is what we're looking at. It's to be real clear, we're looking at how prepared your undergraduate made you to be successful here in terms of your coursework, research experience, internships plus or minus. It's not a must to have internship experience. It just helps. It's not a must to have research experience, but so we're looking at everything. So we might have a really strong student who has a perfect GPA from a great school who wasn't able to engage in research for whatever reason. They have a good personal statement. All their letters of reference are really positive. Um, that person would be a strong applicant even without research experience. At the same time, I might have a student whose GPA is a little bit on the low side. Maybe they were a student athlete. Maybe they had other reasons. They just couldn't catch up at the very beginning of their semester, but they did all this research and the research was really impactful. Their letters of recommendation support that. That would be also somebody who would be a strong applicant to the program. We look at the whole application. We're never going to say, don't apply if this is what you are. And the only reason we say that is one thing, which Holly will share with you in a bit. I won't steal your thunder, Holly, on that one.
No worries.
Other than that, we want you all to apply. We really want you to apply. You have a fee waiver here, so you don't have anything to lose, which Holly will talk about too as well. But definitely apply. Don't say my GPA, unless your GPA is in. Okay, I'll put it that way. 3.0 is where we start to look really closely to say what else do you have on your application to make sure you would succeed here. We don't want to admit you and then say, oh, Jackie Shell, thank you for joining our master's program. Your undergrad wasn't strong. You came here, you didn't have experience. You came here and you're going to fail, and we had to kick you out after you paid tuition. That would be really bad for Brown to do for us and for you. But for example, let's say your GPA is slightly under 3. I had students studying at top engineering schools that are known to be very difficult. Their GPA was below 3, and they come to the program because their other parts of their application are still good and they still get admitted and they do great here because coursework is less intensive. They're not taking 5 engineering exams at once or whatever it may be, 5 math exams or 5 bio exams. So really it's about the whole application. If your GPA is below 3 and you're not coming from an institution that is highly regarded, then I would think closely. Do you have work experience that is relevant that could boost you? These are the sort of things you want to look at. And as a review committee, we look at everything to see if you will be successful here because we want to help you and make sure we're not accepting students who won't be able to succeed here.
Thank you, Jackie.
Are there any other questions? No. Okay.
We see another one from Stanley.
Okay.
I wanted to ask if there was a possibility of the merit scholarship being increased or expanded in the future.
The answer is no. The merit scholarship is just that amount. Additional funding opportunities, assistantships, there are TA ships, but they're not like a TA ship that is paying your tuition and paying you a stipend. These TA ships are like an hourly job. They're competitive to get to. It's helpful if you've TA'd before. It's very helpful if you've taken the class. And it's like an hourly job where you're working 6 hours per week at $30 an hour. So it's more like you have some money, but definitely will never be a full tuition place within the master's program. That's really reserved for our PhDs. So I think that's where and I think most master programs are similar to that, that it's really, if you're looking for full tuition, you're going to be looking more for a PhD program. And Stanley, if that is like, that you're not going to be able to pay for the program if you're accepted, unless you're looking for other external scholarships and things like that, that's what I'm saying here is not going to change. Definitely not going to change. So I would think about what other opportunities could help you finance it. Are there loans you could consider? But yeah, full tuition will definitely never. And I think the 1/8 scholarship is really what it's capped at.
Thank you, Jackie.
Next.
Yeah, any questions, I guess, regarding funding also too? We host a lot of sessions in our recruitment team talking about funding and connecting with student financial services about payment plans and jobs on campus. Of course, they're not guaranteed per semester or maybe in the area that you might even want to work in, but there are opportunities for on-campus jobs, as Jackie said. But I do want to highlight real quickly the Center for Master Students Excellence team, which is a really unique set of individuals who all really cater to only the master's students. So we have, three groups of students on campus. We have our undergrads, graduate students, and then our PhD students. This team of individuals works entirely with our 3,000 member master students. With that being said, obviously Jackie really highlighted a lot of the direct departmental and cross departmental support that you have within the program. But as far as and I'll detail it in the next slide about their core functions, really. So between Joel Revel and Janae Victoria, they are the deans of student affairs who can cater towards accommodations that you might need, any sort of leave of absence that you might need to take, any sort of academic tutoring. Janae's background is actually in social work, so she has high discretion and also high sensitivity towards socio and emotional issues that students might be experiencing, especially being a master's student. You're only here for a short period of time, really as low as potentially a year if you're a domestic student. So it goes quickly. And we like to kind of start even before orientation saying, it's okay to ask for help, and that these are people who can help you in areas of your either academics or, again, more socio-emotional maybe issues or developments there, as well as professional and career development support. So, particularly as you know, with the biotech industry and industries in general, and it is really helpful to have multiple people who can guide you into either different industries or also provide you with the skills, workshops, and opportunities to learn skills in the area of career and professional development. So if we just want to go to the next slide, to kind of just highlight those core functions of this team. We have really divided between student affairs and support services, as I mentioned, and professional development and career services. So Komal and her team really host fairly regular events, workshops, webinars, one-on-one opportunities to uh, prepare for an interview that you might be up against, or also looking at identifying employment opportunities post-graduation. Maybe, something in the co-op, you attended the co-op and you decided you wanted to pivot, or you wanted to go more into that industry. This team would be a great, yes, people who can help you either connecting you with other departments on campus, like the Sheridan Center for Teaching and Learning, or other departments that Jackie had mentioned that you have availability to take classes in. As well as more STEM specific career support. So, obviously, with biotech, you get a lot of STEM support anyway, but also we have a new career counselor who can also help with more. Um, Industries like government or going into education. Again, a little maybe outside of the typical biotech progression. But um, and again, the student affairs and support team also can help you connecting with other identity centers across campus. So they help collaborate with planning social events, purely social, not about networking, literally just about having fun and uh, becoming friends with your fellow classmates, because being here for such a short period of time, it really is important, I think, to balance being a person as well as being a student. So Student Affairs team is constantly collaborating with other identity centers about trying to provide programming that is open to folks of all identities, and also really typically across all uh, student identities. So whether you're an undergraduate student, a graduate student, or a PhD student, as Jackie mentioned, it really is a very collaborative and accepting environment at Brown. So oftentimes you have student or identity centers that are open to all, regardless of what kind of student that you are. And if we want to go to the next slide, we'll talk more about the application requirements. So, at the time of your application, you will only need your unofficial transcripts if you attended a country or attended a school outside of this country and your transcripts are not in English. They will need to be translated, but you will not need a formal WES or course by course international equivalent. Transcript until you are offered admission. So that's really important to notice because it is a decent fee, and we don't want to have you pay that until you're really accepted and decide to enroll if you are accepted. But this is a snapshot of what a complete application looks like, is your unofficial transcripts from all previously attended institutions, your personal statement, copy of your CV resume, three letters of recommendation, as well as the English proficiency exam in the form of the TOEFL or the IELTS. If we have any fifth year students here, you'll know that your application fee is already waived and you only need two letters of recommendation. And our next deadline is April 15th, and we do admissions on a rolling basis, which is a huge benefit not only to the admissions committee, but also to people applying. So it's not as though you're applying now and you're going to receive a decision in 4 months. If you submit your application now and that's complete, you'll typically receive a decision within 3 to 4 weeks, which is a really healthy turnaround and also helps you kind of plan in the background, deciding to come to Brown or deciding between other schools that you might be applying to. If we want to go to the next slide, I'll go into a little bit more details. Obviously, as I mentioned a few times, the application fee waiver is waived for this session, and you might not notice that anything in your application until you're ready to submit it. You're not going to get an email or any code to put in. It'll just be working magically in the background and just needs you to submit. As far as we get these fairly often, these questions in the application process, especially because sometimes if you are applying to other schools have different policies and different guidances, but the GRE is not required and it will not be reviewed. So, as far as trying to strengthen your application, this is not going to be a great metric or a great opportunity to strengthen an application that might have a little lower of a GPA or that you had maybe a tough semester in undergrad. But we can talk a little bit about what opportunities there are in the application and also just as advice that we would share because we think clear is kind when it comes to this process. Want to try to demystify it a little bit. Um, and again, official transcripts are only required for if you are offered admission and decide to enroll. So those are the ones that are sent directly from your institution. And the International Transcript Evaluation in the form of either WES, ECE, or TEC. Those are the accepted platforms that are approved to do international evaluations. That would only be required upon enrollment. And something really important to notice, and Jackie had mentioned it too, in the form of wanting to make sure that we are recruiting students that are going to be a good fit for the program and also vice versa. Really, the two main metrics I think that we pay attention to a lot as like a formal barrier would be the TOEFL or IELTS minimum scores as well as your GPA. You'll notice if you have been looking at other programs at Brown that the minimum scores do vary program to program. For the biotech program, it is a firm 100 for the TOEFL or 8 for the IELTS. With that being said, you could have an amazing academic history and also really just hit the bar on every level. But because the program is really discussion based and also we want to make sure that you're going to be successful as a student and that English language is not going to be a barrier. That TOEFL minimum score is a hard line. If we want to go to the next slide, talk a little bit about the GPA. It has been a case where we've seen master's students. Ooh,
Can I just chime in here
yeah.
and just want to reiterate, I know Holly said it, if your program was taught in English, you have your IELTS TOEFL waived. You don't
Yes.
have to do it. So I saw an extra question pop up, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear so that that person felt answered. All right. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Holly. Sorry.
thank you for pausing. I will say that the in the application, it's an automatic also waiver process too. If you are you're inputting every institution that you attended. If your undergraduate was out of the country, you'll be asked if English was the primary language of instruction. You want to click that box, and you would be waived from submitting the TOEFL or the IELTS. As far as the personal statement is concerned, I know Stanley and a few others have asked a bit about strengthening your application. Because the personal statement is going to be the only opportunity to talk about your experience and your goals and you as a person in your own words, in your own narrative, that is something that is highly looked at. So with typos, with grammar issues involved, but also just kind of reading the tone of your own narrative. I would spend a lot of time on the personal statement, not so much that you're maybe getting lost in the sauce, but really relying on other people to either proofread it for you. Maybe you have an advisor, an undergraduate right now, or career services at your institution that you might be able to lean on to kind of help with this. But the personal statement is read by real people. So they will be able to tell if not only it has been written not in your own words, but using different kind of platforms. So I really want to just highlight, especially just with the changing of, I guess, writing and expectation of writing, is that it's still really important to be able to be a graduate level writer. And that is going to be shown in your personal statement, if not other parts of your application. Your letters of recommendation, certainly we see a lot of students that are coming right out of undergraduate, so we would see more of their letters of reference coming from academic professors or research instructors that they may have worked with or under, maybe something a little bit more relevant to their undergraduate career. Of course, we also see people who enter industry after a few years and want to come back and do their master's. So a letter recommendation from a supervisor in that context would be acceptable and appropriate. But with that being said, really the focus would be on having more academia related references to be able to speak to your level of yes, success, your potential level of success as a graduate student, which sometimes supervisors may not always be able to speak to in their letters of reference. And we talk about this a lot too, but fifth year students, as mentioned, you will only need two letters of reference, which being an undergrad, you should be, yes, having having an abundance of opportunities to network, especially because you are still in our community. So I just want to pause here to see if we have any relevant questions. There was no priority deadline for the biotech masters. There was just a final deadline of April 15th. So that's a really great question, especially if you're looking at other kind of school of engineering or adjacent programs. Some of those programs do have a priority deadline. And the priority deadline would work in the same way as the rolling admissions, is that if you apply by the priority deadline, you get an admission decision sooner. Past that, you're going to be in the group of individuals who are getting a decision all at once later on, closer to March or April.
So, and Graham, so if you are waiting, if you've applied, I would apply and make your application complete if you're comparing the two programs, biotech and sustainable engineer and energy, very different topics. So but if you are interested in biotech as well, you can apply. Our review process is starting in a week or so. So if you submit the same time, your application should be reviewed around the same time, and you will be able to get an answer from us. We review our applications every 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, and there's a bit of a process behind that, but hopefully you would hear within the month of applying. If you're waiting for a decision because you have another offer from a different program, we can see it within Brown that you do have another offer, so we can be able to expedite our decision as well if needed.
Yes, thank you, Jackie.
Sure.
And if we want to go to the next slide, Vamika, I do see your question about part-time opportunities. I want to just speak to that a little bit more in depth past this slide. So I'll get to it in just a moment. But yes, for my final slide, and one that I think that is we love to just kind of beat it home because it is true, and I think that I've seen students with under a 3.0 GPA, of course, it's probably like 2.8 or 2.9 being accepted. So I don't want you to be afraid of not having a perfect application or being this perfect applicant because they don't exist. And also, we really, because of the nature of the holistic admissions, each part of your application is weighed equally. Beyond the English language proficiency exams and also a GPA that just might be like a 2.5, that's just a little too low. Those are things that we really can't weigh equally, but all other parts, there's really not going to be one aspect of your application that automatically denies or admits you. So, with that being said, I think that the focus would be to be authentic in your application, especially your personal statement. Research the program to see if it's actually a right fit for you. Or research or there are professors like Jack Shell or Goldbank who are offering classes that are in your interests. Do you see research advisors that are doing research in the area that you're interested in? Those would be great things to highlight in your personal statement just to kind of drive home the fact that, yes, you've looked into Brown's program, it's unique to you and it's perfect for you. That is really how we see if someone is a right fit at the end of the day, is if they can see themselves at Brown and Brown can help them succeed in their professional career goals, then it's a happy fit both ways. Benefit of this program, again, of having rolling admissions is that you do not have to wait very long to receive a decision once your application is submitted and complete. Of course, we cannot review incomplete applications, so check up on with your references and make sure that they understand the timeline with your application deadlines, especially if you're applying to other programs with varying deadlines. That's the onus on you to kind of shepherd through your application in the background too. You'll be getting email notifications talking about your incomplete application and also to reach out to anyone in our office if you have any questions. And really just not waiting until the last minute or until the 11th hour to submit, barring any, questions, concerns that you have that might be able to just be resolved really quickly and not in a time crunch kind of era. Jackie, do you want to add anything else here?
Just wanted, I'm sorry if I'm coughing. I wasn't muted. Sorry about that. Um, I thought I was muted. Um, a question was about after what date are admission decisions no longer rolling? They're always rolling
Yeah.
until our final deadline on April 15th, May 1st for fifth year students. So always rolling, always, always till the very end, and that's when it happens.
Yes, as far as, and maybe I erroneously added some confusion, but if you are seeing programs with priority deadlines, they will release your decisions on rolling, but past that, it will be done in all one fell swoop. But if we want to just go to the next slide to show the Q&A, and I'll tackle Vimika's question here. So there are part-time opportunities to work on campus. Some of these look like being a dining service worker. You can be a graduate assistant at the School of Professional Studies and basically doing like admin work to help with our either career support team or student affairs team. You can become a teaching assistant or a graduate assistant in the more academic sense of like helping a professor with the class that they're teaching. With that said, I think most classes that you would become a teaching assistant with, you would be expected to take the course first, and then you would have the opportunity to be an assistant in a following semester. With that also being said, that it is a widely variable kind of process of what is available at the time that you are applying for jobs or looking at jobs as a domestic student. And really, no matter what kind of student you are going to be probably limited to working 20 hours a week. But if you're an international student, your visa will be formally restricting you to 20 hours a week. And of course, all those jobs would have to be on campus. As far as securing funding like that, those opportunities are usually available in our HR system called Workday. That's usually positions are posted at the beginning of the academic year in fall or as early as August. But yes, with that being said, it wouldn't really be something that you would be able to secure really right as you enroll. It would be a little bit of a process closer to the time of when classes start. And again, you might not always get a position that you are, if it depends on what your kind of objective is with the part-time opportunity. If it's really just to kind of fund your degree and you're open to anything, there's an abundance of opportunities. But if you are looking more specifically about boosting your resume, doing something on a more professional development side that's more pertinent to what you want to do post-graduation, those opportunities are just not always guaranteed. And it might not be, again, in the department or the area that you're looking at. So just want to set that expectation now. There's opportunities for part-time work, but if it's something that you really is going to be part of your professional development, there's other opportunities to do that with like the co-op or within the program versus a part-time job.
The question again about can you work with a faculty member to get your research and work as a research funded, like research assistantship? You will not see this very much in the biotech program. Most of our students, and I think over right now we have 140 students. I think I have one exceptional student whose faculty member is paying them a stipend. There's opportunities over the summer where you can work full time as international student, domestic students. You can work anytime you want full time. Who will stay in their lab and do research over the summer and get money to support their research. But once again, master's students are more or less within the biotech program self-funded. They're not getting a tuition. They're not getting stipend. There's merit scholarships, some financial aid, but most students are not getting paid. So the reason I say this is and to make it very clear and be very transparent as you're asking in this question, they pay their PhD students. They're accepting less PhD students because it's getting harder to fund research. So for a master's student, it would be very, very difficult to get a research assistantship through the year with your faculty advisor. The master's is an investment, and that's how you have to think about it. When you're starting as undergrad level, if you're even able to get in the biotech industry, your starting salary is not going to be very high even. With a master's, we have students coming out making 80K all the way up. I have students making 150 if they're going into consulting. Depending on what you're going into, this is how you are investing. You're putting in 70K towards a degree that's going to pay for itself in just a short amount of years. And you have to think about it. Are you able to make that investment to the degree? If you're looking at industry, it's going to pay for itself very, very quickly. Either you won't be able to have a job or it's going to give you a higher paying job. If you're thinking about it in terms of you really want to get into a PhD program, we know it works. So many of our students who are applying to strengthen their degree, we see it helping them do it. So you have to think about it as this is an educational opportunity that you will get a real return on your investment. You're not just paying, and it's very hard nowadays to get a master's paid for. That's what I would say. If you're somebody who does have industry experience or currently working in industry, you can do the program part-time and your company will finance some of the degree. I'm always like, yes, if you can do these things, do it. It'll help you out as well. What you'll find from Goldbank and I, we're always going to give you the best advice we can to help you succeed within this program. Goldbank, do you want to say anything? You look like you want to say something, Goldbank. No? Okay.
No,
We're getting up to the time limit.
I agree with everything you said. Yes.
We're getting up to the time limit. So I guess, and I do have another meeting coming up.
Jack,
Holly
here's a quick question.
I do, yeah, just one more.
One more. I didn't want to, in case there's restrictions, but someone is asking if they can switch between the SCM and AM after enrollment, if they can switch.
For sure. So SCM, so the way it works is you can apply to either. SCM, if you're applying to the SCM program, we do want to see that you have something that indicates you would be successful at research. It doesn't mean you have all this research experience. It might mean that you have a really strong GPA and everyone says you have great aptitude. That's enough. If you're a student who's applied to the AM, we're not looking as much for research experience because lots of students use it to get into med school or law school or something like that. So research is not what we're going to look at as much on your application. But I have a number of students, and I'll push you. If you join our program, I'm usually pushing students towards the thesis because it's so beneficial for whatever track you're looking to do. And if you're able to find a research advisor, which we help you with the process of, and we provide lists of faculty, we help connect you, you can definitely do the Master of Science if you apply to the AM. And if you're in the Master of Science and you're like, oh, I happen to apply to med school and I got in, I don't want to finish the thesis. As long as you've made good progress, we can evaluate your degree to say yes, definitely. Some students start research and they're like, I thought I wanted to do this. You convinced me to do this, but I really don't like it. And we say, okay, that's okay. You can switch to the course only. And we help steer your career to where you need to go to help you be successful. Okay. We already answered this one. For Herbert's question, BSc in agriculture, that might be a bit of a jump. It really depends. And we really can't provide person to person specific applications. We get like 600 applications that we're reviewing, 500. So it's a bit much for every applicant for us to be able to give that advice. Since you asked, and this will be the last one I'll answer, it might be tough, but I can't tell for sure without actually reviewing your application. Okay. Here's our Holly. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Nope.
That's it.
Wonderful job, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for joining. You have our email here. Anything that comes up after the fact, you can always reach out after. Thank you, Goldbank and Jackie, for your collaboration with this.
I hope you apply. Take care. Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.